But let me start by saying, in all sincerity, I've been a fan of your work for a very long time. I'm a real film nerd, and I was very ecstatic to learn that I landed an interview with you.
Well, thank you.
I'm definitely curious. You've worked with such great filmmakers, and you've done such great work. When you meet people at the supermarket or in line at some coffee shop, what is it that people always want to talk to you about?
No one's ever asked that question. I think the chief thing they want to know is if they can get ahead of me. Next question, please.
Right. Right. That's quite good. But is there, in all sincerity, is there a role that seems to resonate with so many people, or is it just is it everything?
Well, now you want me to say nice things about myself.
Sometimes.
How is that going to look? Well, I've been very lucky. Like you said, I worked with some of the best directors, and so naturally people come over to you, and it's a reward. I consider it. Sorry, I'm talking so much. I consider it a reward for the work that these people approach, because we're doing the work because we feel camaraderie, a commonality in our own struggles with the people. That's how theater began. And they want to say hello, and they want to express their feelings about the work that they saw. So that's it's really an enjoyable thing.
When you think back on the making of Youth, is there a day or two that really stands out in your mind from the filming process?
I've said this to a lot of interviewers. I'm not sure I'm finished making the movie because the movie stays with me. The whole experience, screenplay, Paolo wrote, which is such a reaching, deeply reaching, beautiful, wrenching piece of work, and I'm still reflecting on it.
Okay. You got to work with, I love Paul's work, I love Michael's work. You got to work with such a great cast. What was it like on set working with these people? Paul was telling me some great stories at Michael, a lot of dinners and wine, and it was a very relaxed atmosphere. Was it similar for you?
I was mostly alone, working,
So
studying
no dinners and no wine?
by myself. Not all the time, but mostly. It was a long schedule, and we worked most every day.
I'm curious about your. I really enjoy your work, and I'm curious through your career how your process possibly has changed. If it has been, do you have like a routine that you like to do for all of your roles, or have you refined it through the course of your career?
Well, I've studied the method in New York City with some great teachers, including my colleagues at the Actors Studio. And there is a method to the approach of the work. And you begin by beating up on yourself, and the more experience you gather, you find what works for you in the method. And you develop your own method so that the method becomes something that's there if you need it and when you need it.
Is there something that you have, besides sticking with the method, is there something that you started with all the way at the beginning of your career that you still is part of your routine to get ready for the role?
Well, study is the only thing I can think of. I study. I'm looking at works of art. You go to museums. You take a ride on the bus. Wherever you have to go to get a sense of experience for what you believe will help you create the character, bring life into the character. You're always searching for a way to bring the truth into the role.
I gave your phone number. I apologize. I was saying I was going to do.
Sorry. Okay.
No, it works out great. You've worked, as I said earlier, you've worked with such gifted filmmakers. Is there something that you've noticed with all of these filmmakers that they all share a common trait? Or
Yeah. I noticed there was a commonality amongst them. whether they're Europeans, Americans, they all have this desire for an honest experience of the life and to render it, to show it, to share it with people.
Is there a trait on set that you've noticed in terms of, I've spoken to a lot of people who mention Spielberg is very collaborative. I've spoken to people that say Scorsese likes a very silent set. So I'm always curious about the process on set and how certain directors like to work.
Well, certain actors don't mind a noisy set or talking before a scene. Other actors do. They have to be silent when they prepare. So it's really up to the individual. But as far as the talent itself goes, it's all the same when you talk about the range of talent you're talking about concerning the directors. The talent is vivid, it's palpable, it's moving, it's inspiring, same as with your fellow actors, writers, costumers. They all add up to telling the story, to serve the story.
I've spoken to a lot of actors who say that they enjoy doing 2 or 3 takes. They like the Clint Eastwood method. First take, let's nail it. And I've spoken to other actors that say they love working for Fincher and 50 takes or 60 takes, as many as they can get. For you, what do you like to do?
To get it right.
Yes, and that explains a lot. But is there?
It will tell you when you finish shooting.
Have you ever done like 20, 30, 50
Yeah.
takes?
Yeah.
Does it make you crazy, or you're like whatever it
No,
takes?
sometimes you need it for this or that reason. Other times you get it on the first take. It really is a living thing. You wake up in the morning every day a little differently. So you shape it. As you do it, you recognize whether you've got its values or not.
When you think back on a lot of the films you've done, a lot of the
For instance, I'm sorry.
oh, sorry.
It just something flashed in my head. Directors usually say action, Then you come to a fellow like Nick Rogue, Nick Rogue?
Yes.
And he used to say, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And that's the range of motion,
Sure. It's always interesting because obviously when the camera's on and it's rolling, when it was film, when you just say when you're ready and the thing's just churning away.
Other people say, tell me when you're ready. Other people say, action.
It's yeah, I'm just imagining that. When you've done a lot of listen, as I've said many times, I'm a huge fan of your work. What is the most, if you don't mind me asking, what's the most you've ever done preparing for a role?
I want you to feel free to ask whatever you want to ask.
Well, I'm definitely curious what's the most you've done for any role in terms of the preparation process.
I couldn't answer that question because I don't remember, but I can tell you the amount of time is huge. I start very early, gathering information, gathering my thoughts, collecting myself, researching your own mind, researching wherever you have to go to find this experience that you're looking for.
One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that...
I'll give you a
sorry.
instance, might be more valuable for actors watching or directors. When, this is coming to mind, when I did Taxi Driver, I didn't know anything about being a pimp. I didn't know how to be a pimp. I went and I found this fellow, because I started asking people, do you know anyone that would talk to me that is a pimp, And I began my research that way. And I found somebody, or somebody found someone for me. I always liked the fact that this fellow said he was an ex-pimp.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
When I thought about that afterwards, I said, of course, what's he going to tell me? And we worked for 2 weeks together, me and him. He taught me how to be the pimp. And we worked together. I played the girl, and he improvised with me. Then I played the pimp, and I improvised with him being the girl. And I began to understand what a pimp does, how he thinks, what his concerns are, what he cares about. And the one thing I could never get, I got it finally, I think. He said, above all, you love the girl. I said, you love the girl? He said, yes, you love her. I said, well, you're lying to her, you're making that up. He said, no. You're not making that up. You love the girl. She wants to go on a vacation, you take her. You don't lie to her. She needs something, you give it to her if you can. You don't lie to her ever. It took me a while to understand that, to grasp that. I'm not sure I have yet.
I'm very happy you shared that story. That's really cool. Well, a lot of people don't realize that so much of a performance is shaped by the editor and by the filmmaker in the editing room, because on set you can deliver a few different ways and you're not sure what the final take is going to be.
Yeah.
Have you ever been involved in the editing process with
Yeah.
some of... And,
Yeah, but in small ways, I've been involved. The director might have asked me to come take a look at the scene. I might have said something in that way. But most people will not let you get involved in the editing process overall.
when you think back on the movies you've been a part of, was there one film that you did it on set, and when you saw the finished film, you were quite surprised at the way it all came together because it wasn't at all what you pictured, or was it never really that dramatic? Maybe I didn't ask that question.
No,
right.
no. I think you asked right, but I was thinking about the cutting process as you asked it, and Ridley Scott came to mind.
Sure.
Because of this one incident when we were made the duelists. So Ridley brought me in to watch the scene, and I watched it, but then this other part of the scene was missing. And I looked up from the cam at that time, I forgot what the machine was called. This is a long time ago, we did the duelists. I looked up, and Billy was sitting right next to me, and we had this look at me. I said, "Where's that scene with?" He said, "I knew you were going to say that. Harvey, I love the scene. I love the scene, but it just didn't belong at that moment in the story. It was the last thing I cut out." I said, "Okay."
Yeah, I'm thinking about you and Ridley collaborating like that. These are just great. I could
Yeah.
probably listen to you all day telling stories. I think a lot of people could. I'm out of time with you.
I wish my directors felt that way.
I'm going to say...
And Jen here, the publicist, because...
Right. I'm going to, sincerely, it is a pleasure for you to give... I'm very happy I got to spend a few minutes with you. Congratulations on Youth, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Best to you.